It's Kari Samuels here, your intuitive counselor and happiness coach. And I am hopping on live today because this is one of the biggest days of the year. I'm recording this on January 12th, 2020. Actually, I'm going live on January 12th, 2020. But this will pertain to you whether you watch this days, weeks, months, or even years from now. But this day has been talked about in astrology by astrologers for a few months, and you're probably hearing all about it. And so I wrote about this recently, this 2020 day of karmic revelations, and people got scared. So I wanted to hop on here to bring a message of hope and healing and give you a real grounded approach to what this actually means. Give you very real life instances of how this will apply to you and how you shouldn't be scared, how this can help empower you. So I want to explain what these planets are, what this karma is, what being real is, and what accountable is, like all these words you might be hearing. And it can be very terrifying if you don't know how to apply it. So I found in my own personal life, and also what I've helped people with, my clients, my students, that when you feel fear, most of the fear is feeling helpless. And yet when you have something to do and you can channel that fear into action, it's really empowering. I was actually reading about Greta Thunberg. I know I'm not pronouncing her name correctly. Fellow 9 Life Path, wonderful, just turned 17-year-old climate change activist. And apparently she was very, very depressed about climate change or whatever, just life in general, until she started protesting for the environment and standing up for the environment. And that action led her into joy. It healed her whole family. And look, it may actually heal the planet. So this is where we are right now. I use her as an example. And that's funny because she's a 9 life path, and 9 life paths are supposed to like live by example, right? And so that serves as a message for you, because I'm recognizing there's sort of two factions in the spiritual community right now. And it's funny, in 2020, these twos that are happening throughout the whole 21st century, 2 is a number that's peace and balance and intuition and calm and all these lovely divine feminine energies. The shadow side of 2 is getting torn apart, pulled in 2 directions, divided and polarized. So you see that acting out. You see this playing out in our world and possibly within us, right? Within you, right? There's a part of you that wants to go in one direction, but then there's a part of you that wants to do what seems safe. So this is one of the things I want to talk about today. What actions are you going to take to transform this fear, to transform this division within you, what choices you make, and the division within the world? So the first thing I'd like to say is, if there's anything in your heart that you've been wanting to do, a gift that you want to share, a creativity that wants to be expressed, now is the time. That is your job right now, is to share your gifts. And so we have a lot of Capricorn right now. And so you might hear the word responsibility. Again, responsibility, karma, accountability, these are words that you're going to hear because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is the Lord of karma. And again, I want to talk about karma in a way that's not so scary. So when you're given a gift by spirit, it's actually your responsibility to share that gift. And so right now, I was given a lot of insight about what this year is about. And it's my responsibility, after receiving these downloads, to share them with you. Now, of course, I'm going to be going into this much more deeply in my 2020 Illuminated 4-day event, but it's my responsibility to share this with everybody. So yes, you can go more deep or deeper. English sometimes, I don't know. So sometimes you can go more, delve into this more with me in that event. And I'm going to be going through all the spiritual lessons and what this all means, and month by month. And I'm also I was told to start that event with healing because of all the fear going on right now, because you can sense right now that the world is going even crazier. And this is part of the divine plan, because this is a time of shadow. For karma to be awakened and then balanced, healed, there has to be the shadows coming to light. And so there's a lot in the world that we've kept hidden. So what is in your shadow is everything that we don't want to deal with. And this is why climate change is a big deal right now, because for decades we've been using pesticides and monocropping and polluting and factory farming. And you know, part of the Amazon fires were caused from clear cutting for beef. That is what they're doing to the Amazon now. They're clear cutting for beef and for cattle. And so you talk to people and they often say, I don't want to know. I don't want to know where my food comes from. I don't know how this got here. I don't want to know what's happening with the planet. I don't want to know what happens to the plastic when I put it away. But this is a time that we're all responsible for our actions. This is a time where we are collectively responsible for the planet. So it is my responsibility with this information, whether you sign up for my event or not, to share with you what I can. Again, I'm going to go much deeper in that event, but I want you to know now how to use this energy and not to be scared, how to use this to propel you into action for positive change. So it is your responsibility, if you have a divine gift, to use your gift to move through those fears, because often you put your gifts in your shadow because it's easier not to deal with it. That's one of the things. So now is your time. So there's two factions of the spiritual community that I've recognized. And you know, all over the world, we're dealing with reality issues. And this is why you hear phrases like fake news and yet people who lie call that fake news, and then but they'll lie, and like everything's about, like, seriously, we're all like, does everyone have a reality issues? Yeah, I think so. And so and yet in the spiritual community, I see two very specific issues of denying reality. And in the healing session, in my 4-day event, this is one of the things my guides want to address. But I'm going to share that with you now so that you can begin this healing for yourself as well. So there's this like polarization in the spiritual community that I've recognized, and that I have been somehow tasked as well to bring your attention to. And I'm hoping there's others I know there are others that are bringing your attention to this as well. So which brings me to one point. So and it's actually a combination of both, but there's these polarizations. So many people in the spiritual community, which is you, if you're listening to this, many people feel that they need to save the world all by themselves. And they take it as their responsibility to single-handedly save the world. I think I fall into that category sometimes, because if you have gifts that can help people, you want to help as many people as once, and you want to wake up as many people as once. So and again, this could be a combination of both, but if you fall into that category, I'm encouraging you to step back and recognize that you are a particle in this giant wave. You are a very important aspect of it. There's only one you in the world, and you are very important. And yet it is your responsibility right now to stay happy, to have a balance of work and play. There's one reason that Capricorn, the sign associated with career, is in the south node of the moon right now, which is karma, because we've been taught to be workaholics. You've been taught that if you're not constantly productive, there's something wrong with you, or your life is going to fall apart, or you're not doing enough. So I'm encouraging you, if you are one of these people, and this is something my guides have been telling me because I have had these tendencies myself, that you are not solely responsible for saving the world. You do your part. You have a responsibility to do your part. You have a responsibility to keep your body healthy, to maintain a very high vibration of love and joy, because that is what heals the planet. And if you're constantly like taking on other people's energy and constantly taking on responsibility that belongs to other individuals, then you're creating karma for yourself. Karmic imbalance, because every single one of us has a responsibility. So it's not your responsibility to heal the whole world. It's your responsibility to do your part. So that's one part of it. And again, I'd love to hear how you're resonating with this, right? Like, oh, maybe I do recognize that in myself. So I want to bring this to your awareness so that you recognize that one of your responsibilities this year is to have fun. And even when the world is going crazy, and it absolutely will go even crazier. There are a lot of elements in our astrology right now that have historically been war and that kind of thing, and we're in it already. I mean, look at how we started 2020 here in the United States, right? So it's also our responsibility to know that we need to do our part to help people, right? So which brings me to the other part of the polarity and our responsibility. There's something in the spiritual community, a swath of people that don't vote, they don't read the news ever, or know what's going on. Like, however you get your sources from, like they have no idea what's going on because they feel it's important to stay in their happy bubble. And like, you know, for me to, their justification, I've heard a few justifications. For me to be able to heal people, I need to be removed from that, from anything that's going on. Or I've heard people say, I'm working on that on the 5th dimension. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And then because a lot of channeled teachings, you know, a lot of very popular spiritual messengers who channel disembodied entities tell people that, like, we're creating our own reality, and you know, you only work on things on the energetic level. I'll talk about this in a minute. But the other thing is that I don't want to be involved in a broken system. I'm not going to put my energy in a broken system. Okay, so I want to address all this. So first of all, we began this year with 5 planets in Capricorn. Saturn, Capricorn's ruler, the Lord of Karma, is a big player. It's the biggest player this year. It's like a huge player, right? There's other power players. So Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are the power players this year. They're all part of the same mythical family, which is funny because Capricorn governs the father, and Saturn, and Cancer, which is where the North Node is, governs our mother, which is funny because it's a mythological family drama that's playing out. Saturn, Capricorn, and Jupiter. If you look in mythology, they're all related in the weird Greek tragedy kind of way. So, but here's the thing with these planets. Saturn and Jupiter are what's known as our social planets. And the reason Capricorn is associated with your career, it's because as you develop the self and gain self-mastery, it's your responsibility to share your gifts with the world and be part of a collective, contribute to society. So Saturn is a social planet. Jupiter is also known as a social planet. Jupiter expands everything. It touches, it's benevolence, it's expansive. Saturn and Jupiter work to balance each other. Jupiter you know, it's known to be beneficent because it's about expansion, but it's now we're learning like how much expansion is too much and when do we need to rein it in. And this is how Saturn is a great teacher as well. So these are our social planets. And Pluto is a transpersonal planet having to do with our collective, things greater than ourselves, paradigm shifts of power and truth as well. Pluto is the lord of the underworld, our shadow. So these planets are the big players right now. So these are all social or transpersonal planets. And this is why it's we're having these big paradigm shifts. This is why they're affecting our world, but they affect you personally. Again, this is like your career and father as well, and all that energy, right? Or how you father, or what you're fathering into the world, your legacy, all of that. And 2020 is a 4 universal year. And 4 is the number of reality. It's the number of Earth, real Earth. So your responsibility is not just for your own self right now. We have collective karma as well. You chose to be born into a certain city, a certain time. I know in the spiritual community, it's very popular to say this is all an illusion, but really try telling that to your body every year that this is just an illusion. You can't live on air. You have to actually take care of your physical body. You have to eat well. You have to contribute to the society, and in exchange, you receive money, security, fulfillment. So this is a year where we are dealing with collective karma. This isn't just your personal karma, but I want to talk about what reality is and why this year is all about being accountable and waking up to the things that you've been afraid of. And again, I want to bring hope into this as well, because once you do face reality, you can make real changes. And then all of a sudden, the things that you've been avoiding and have been really working on, taking up a lot of energy in the back of your mind and weighing on you, you're liberated. It's incredible. So Saturn return is what happens every 28.5 years when Saturn comes back to where it was in your birth chart. And anyone who's, you know, think back to the ages of 28 to 30 and how your life changed and it was hard. Saturn's a taskmaster. I know for me, I was avoiding my psychic gifts. And then I had my Saturn return. It was so hard. But after that, I awakened and I began using my psychic gifts. And it was so liberating. It was so fulfilling. But because I'd been hiding them, it was very challenging. So that's where we are now. It's challenging because we have to deal with all this that we haven't been dealing with. But ultimately, it's incredibly liberating. Okay, so let me talk to you about how a psychic, so I'm psychic, and how a psychic can read your energy and a potential future. So, and this is how medical intuitives can start to detect illness before it happens. So sometimes you can go to a psychic or a medical intuitive and they will read your energy field and they can see beginning to take form. Before something takes form, an illness start to happen so that they can say, oh, you know what? You need to change your diet, or you need to get this checked out by a medical professional and have something removed before it becomes physically manifest. Because the physical layer is the densest layer, and we're pretty dense down here, right? So the etheric and the astral field. So the astral field plane is like just so light, right? And then as we get into the etheric plane, things start to take form. Not yet. Like our thought forms are beginning to create it, and our energy and our emotions are beginning to create form. And when a psychic is reading your future, your potential future, they're not saying something set in stone. What they're doing is they're reading these forms that have started to manifest, but haven't yet. So they can tell you, now it's time to change course. Now you might want to do this differently because you're headed here, but that's not where your ultimate destiny is. So you might want to change course. And then if it's been ignored too long, it becomes physical. And once it becomes physical, it needs to be dealt with on the physical, emotional, and etheric levels. So 2020 is a year that is all about the physical. Capricorn is all about the physical and our shared karma. And so the things that are being awakened to us now are already manifested in the physical form. So they have to be dealt with on the physical plane, which does mean that if you neglect your duty to vote, for instance, and you say, well, I don't want to give my power to other people, by not doing something, you are giving away your power. Not doing something is an action to ignore things and put something in the shadow. And I've been told, and again, this was my responsibility to come on here because I've been told our future is in the balance now. This is a critical time. So you cannot just deal with things on the energetic fifth dimension. You must deal with things in the 3D reality, which means you must, for instance, vote for people who are going to protect this planet. Protect your financial future. Where is your money going? Is it going toward oil? Is it going toward wars? Or is it going toward art and benefiting the greater good? This does affect you on the physical plane and people. So when people say, I'm working on it on the fifth dimension, I don't want to buy into that, you're actually ignoring reality. And that's going to, we have a collective responsibility. So obviously I'm talking about voting because we have a big election coming up in 2020. And I truly feel that our future is in the balance. Now, I don't want to scare you. Just do your part. So, and again, people who live elsewhere, you have, there's other things that are happening, right? So we all need to start to take responsibility as a collective, very physical, like what are you eating? Where is your food coming from? How much plastic are you consuming? And using, like, how can you make little changes even to help the collective? Again, this isn't all your responsibility, but how can you do your part? How can you engage in things that you have been ignoring? No, not just for the planet. So let's talk about how this is going to affect you personally and how you can empower yourself. So I would suggest that you journal and ask yourself, what have I been ignoring that I've been not wanting to deal with, or not wanting to think about, or not wanting to confront? And that could be like, I have a calling for something greater, and I felt like it's been easier to just not deal with it and to just go with the status quo, but I'm really going to take some steps right now, every day, toward fulfilling my true calling that's going to make me happy. Maybe it's something like you've been wanting to dance for years and you've never made time for it. How are you going to take those steps right now to make your body happy? Maybe you've been thinking, I really need to take vacations or enjoy time in nature. How are you going to actively, physically make some changes toward that? So it doesn't need to be like hard or awful. It's just stop putting it in the back burner. Stop ignoring. But if there's a conversation that you've been meaning to have with someone, you're not happy in a relationship, or you want more from a relationship, how are you avoiding confrontation? So look at every corner of your life, because that's what Saturn and Pluto are going to be doing. They're going to look at every corner of your life and unearthing the truth and holding you accountable to your gifts and things that you've been ignoring. So this is a collective responsibility, and it's very personal as well. So when we are doing this, now again, we can't guarantee that everyone's going to do their part, and you have to detach from the outcome and know that you can always be happy no matter what's happening in the world. You can find ways to fulfill your gifts, to make the world a better place, to be joyful, to have a balance of work and play, to be rewarded and fulfilled. You can do that, and that is in your power. So that I hope that right now that I've encouraged you to do that. It's going to be an incredible year. There's no way this is not going to be a life-changing and world-changing year. Now, as I mentioned, there is a lot. I have been really going in depth, tuning into this year for my 2020 Illuminated event. It is a 4-day event, and there's a reason my guides made sure that I started that with healing, because what we're going to do in the day 1 of the event, which is calling in the magic, we're bringing in our guides for protection, our angels, the archangels, for protection, for positive energy, healing those fears. And then we're going to create soulful intentions, not what you think you want, not what your ego wants, but truly from the soul, with the help of your guides, because it's like putting a destiny into the GPS. It's important to know where you are headed and have a very clear idea of that, because it's easy to get distracted this year. So you're going to have clarity. And then on day 2, there is a forecast event and a divination event. I have created a 100-page daily planner for you. It goes through month by month what is going on in the heavens, so you can really plan your year. Now, this planner and this forecast helped me plan my year, because there were things that I was going to take on in certain times, and I was like, you know what? Because every single planet's going retrograde this year. It's important to know which planet's going retrograde, when, why, and what the best use of that energy is. Because when you do that, you know how to go with the energy. It's like swimming against a tide or surfing a wave. And because there's so much retrograde activity and so much big energy, I feel it's really helpful if you know that. Now, people have been saying, well, these times don't work for me. I'm in this part of the world. This is recorded for you. Just like this right now is recorded for you, and it could still be helpful. Plus, you have this 100-page guide that you can refer to every single day. We're going to be going over in day 3 your personal numerology month by month, so you have that divine timing, and then there's a live Q&A with me and my beautiful spirit guides. I have so much to share with you, and I'm hopping on Facebook and YouTube as much as I can, but I really would love to have you have this opportunity to go in depth with me and plan your year ahead and get that healing and protection from your guides, because we are going to go deep. I hope you join me with that. If you want to join me, you can find that link for registration and more information at karisamuels.com/2020-illuminated. It is going to be an amazing, life-changing year. This will help you plan your life for the next year in a way that is very much in alignment with your soul and the universe. The universe has a lot to share with us right now, so it's all about reading the clues. So whatever you choose, I am wishing you so much love. Stay joyful, stay hopeful, stay empowered in the truth of who you are, and you cannot go wrong. I love you so much. Bye for now.